From translation, TLB, the Living Bible. This 259th day of the year. Today we are reading passages Daniel 4-6. Daniel chapter 4, verses 1-38. King Nebuchadnezzar sent a letter to all the people, telling them about the miraculous things that had happened to him. I am happy to tell you about the miracles and wonders that the Most High God has done for me. How great are his signs, how powerful his wonders. His kingdom will last forever, and his rule will go on for all time. I, Nebuchadnezzar, was living in my palace in comfort and luxury, but then I had a dream that frightened me. I was lying in my bed, and I saw visions that disturbed my mind. So I sent for all the wise men of Babylon to come and tell me what my dream meant. The astrologers, magicians, and wise men came in, and I told them my dream, but they could not tell me what it meant. But then Daniel came in. He is one of the captives from Judah, and I told him my dream. Daniel said, Belteshazzar, I wish that the dream were about your enemies and not about you. You saw a tree that grew to be very tall and strong. At the top of the tree was a crown. The crown was so high that it could be seen from anywhere in the land. The tree grew and became strong. Its top reached up to the sky, and it could be seen from the ends of the earth. Its leaves were beautiful, and it had plenty of fruit. The tree provided shade for all, and the animals lived in its branches. The birds made their nests in it. In my dream I saw a holy one, a messenger, coming down from heaven. He shouted loudly, cut down the tree and chop off its branches. Shake off its leaves and scatter its fruit. Let the animals leave its branches. Let the birds fly away, but leave the stump and the roots in the ground. It will grow again and be a tree once more. Let the king be warned. Let him be driven away from people and live with the wild animals. Let him eat grass like a cow and be wet with dew. Let this happen for 7 years. The Holy One decided to make this happen to the king. This is the dream, and now I will tell you what it means. Daniel, you are the one who will be forced to leave your palace and live in the wilderness. You will eat grass like a cow and be wet with dew for 7 years. The Holy One said that you would be driven away from people and live with the wild animals. You will eat grass like a cow and be wet with dew. The tree you saw is you, Nebuchadnezzar. You have become great and strong, like the tree that touched the sky. You will be driven away from people and live with the wild animals. You will eat grass like a cow and be wet with dew for 7 years. The Holy One said that you would lose your kingdom. This is what God has decided to do to you. At the end of 12 months, while he was walking on the flat roof of his palace in Babylon, the king said, This is Babylon the Great, which I have built as my capital city by my own power and for my own glory. The people will force you to leave the city. The 12 months passed, and the king was walking on the flat roof of his palace in Babylon. The king said, This is Babylon the Great, which I have built as my capital city. While the king was talking, a voice came from heaven. Nebuchadnezzar, king, your kingdom is taken away from you. You will be forced to leave people and live with the wild animals. The Most High God has done to you what he said he would do. At that time Nebuchadnezzar was forced to leave people and live with the wild animals. At the end of that time I, Nebuchadnezzar, looked up at the sky. At the end of that time I, Nebuchadnezzar, said, Praise the Most High God, the King of Heaven. At the same time my reason returned to me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and honor the King of Heaven. His work is good, and he is fair in all his ways. Daniel chapter 5, verses 1-31. King Belshazzar gave a big feast for all his high officials. When Belshazzar and his guests were drinking wine, he gave orders to bring in the gold and silver cups. They brought in the cups, and the king and his guests drank from them. As they were drinking, they praised their gods made of gold, silver, bronze, iron, wood, and stone. Suddenly, a human hand appeared and began writing on the plaster wall. The king's face turned white with fear, and his knees began to shake. The king called in his wise men and astrologers. The king's wise men came in, but they could not read the writing or tell him what it meant. The king became even more frightened, and his face turned white. The queen, because of the king's fear and trembling, came into the banquet hall. The queen said, The king should not be frightened. Daniel can tell you what the writing means. Daniel was brought to the king. The king asked Daniel, Are you the one of the captives from Judah that Nebuchadnezzar brought here? I heard about you. You are good at understanding dreams and giving answers. But I will give you a reward if you can tell me what the writing says and what it means. Daniel said to the king, Keep your rewards. I will tell you what the writing means. The Most High God gave Nebuchadnezzar a kingdom and made him king. The Most High God gave him power over people. But because Nebuchadnezzar became proud and stubborn, he was taken away from people and lived with the wild animals. He was forced to eat grass like a cow. You, Belshazzar, are the son of Nebuchadnezzar, but you have not been humble like your father. That's why God sent a hand to write this message. The message which was written is, Mean, tekel, parson. This is what it means. Mean, tekel, parson. Tekel means that you have been weighed. Parson means that your kingdom will be divided. Then Belshazzar gave orders to his servants. That night the Babylonian king Belshazzar was killed. The Persian king Darius was 62 years old when he became king of Babylon. Daniel chapter 6, verses 1 to 28. Darius the king made Daniel one of his highest officers. Daniel was with the other officers of the king. The king decided to put Daniel in charge of Babylon. The other officers of the king and the governors became jealous, but they could not find anything wrong with Daniel, so they decided to get Daniel in trouble by appealing to his religious practices. The officers and governors went to the king and said, "King Darius, live forever. The king should make a new law that for the next 30 days no one can pray to any god except the king. If anyone does not obey, he will be thrown into a den of lions." Daniel heard about the new law, but he continued to pray 3 times each day. Daniel prayed 3 times a day. The officers and governors went to the king and said, "King Darius, didn't you make a law that no one can pray to any god except the king for the next 30 days? Daniel has not obeyed the law." The king was troubled. The king said, "You have tricked me, Daniel." The king gave the order to bring Daniel to the den of lions. Daniel was thrown into the den of lions. The king then went to his palace and spent the night fasting. No music was played that night, and no one was allowed to entertain him. Also, he could not sleep. The king arose early in the morning and hastened to the lion's den. When he reached the den, he cried out to Daniel with a troubled voice, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you continually serve, been able to deliver you from the lions?" Then Daniel answered the king, "O king, live forever. My God sent his angels to shut the lions' mouths. They have not hurt me, for I was innocent in his sight. I have also done nothing against you, O king." The king was exceedingly glad and commanded that Daniel be taken up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no injury whatever was found on him because he had trusted in his God. The king gave orders that those men who had accused Daniel be thrown into the den, they, their wives, and their children. And the lions overpowered them and crushed all their bones as soon as they came to the bottom of the den. Then King Darius wrote to all peoples, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, "May peace be multiplied to you. I make a decree that in all my royal dominion people shall tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God and endures forever. His kingdom shall never be destroyed, and his dominion shall be to the end. He delivers and rescues and works signs and wonders in heaven and on earth, he who has saved Daniel from the power of the lions." So this Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus the Persian.